Okay, there they are. Now I wonder if I could just click, I guess I can click on them. Okay, next slide. Next slide, good. So
Here we
to
go.
finish the story. So I sold my company 2 years ago, went into a terrible depression because I've been doing it for 40 years, came back as Bev Kaye and Company. Stay on that slide. Bev Kaye and Company, continued as a solo practitioner. I was glad not to have 40 people on my shoulders. Yes, I've written a few books. Don't think that I write them one after another. They come slowly and not so easily, but there they are. They're on career development, they're on engagement and retention. So let me get a sense, next slide, of who's out there. And put up your thumbs. How many of you right now are teaching or professoring? And I'll put up all these slides and I'll ask them to, how many of you are managing right now? Managing a team, managing someone else? How many of you are great individual contributors? You're not a manager, but you do your stuff in some organization somewhere. Hi, Mina did, Karen did, Laura did. And how many of you are entrepreneurs? Put up your thumbs. Ah, so Laura will talk later about being an entrepreneur. So I got a question I'm gonna put you through a very quick career development exercise. One of my favorite questions, next slide. One of my favorite questions is, when was the last time you said, I love it about my job? Think about it. And in the chat room, if something comes to you, say it right in the chat room. And I'll tell you, anyone out there who's managing someone else, you don't have to use the word love, but if you want to know what your employees really care about, what they're passionate about, ask them, what was the best part of yesterday? What do you love doing most in your entire job? And they will be impressed that you stopped to ask, and they'll love that you do, and I'll bet you'll learn something about them that you haven't learned. So in the work that I do, I work with, all of my work is done with organizations around the world. Next slide. And for those of you who might be in the talent management arena, in the HR arena, I know in my work, you've got to have the employee involved. They're the spark. Got to have the manager involved. So a lot of manager training. And you've got to build the systems and the structure and the support. And all of that, next click, means shared ownership, and next click. And that's how you really build career development inside of a company. So I'm going to make this really easy for all of you. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for the rest of this time. I'm going to use something, an idea that came out of my doctoral dissertation years ago. Next slide. And it says, career development means understanding 5 words, all of which start with the letter P. I'm very big on helping people remember things and making things practical and easy. So here is, next slide, the career framework. And you can put up all of the slides. Thank you. And the 5 P's stand for person. Who am I? What skills do I bring to the party? Perspective. What's my brand? How do others see me? Now, your brand enters the room before you do. So you better know how you're seen. The 3rd is place. What's changing in my workspace, in my workplace, in my industry, in my world? And what does that really mean to me? How does that affect my career? Possibilities is about options. And the most important letter in the word is the S on the end of possibilities and the S on the end of options. I will probably, my theme song for 40 years has been Up is Not the Only Way, trying to convince organizations that the vertical move is just one of many. And I'm still doing that. And I'll tell you aside, I told my husband that on my gravestone, I wanted to say, now, Beverly, up is the only way. So he promised he would do that. So that's possibilities, and plan is, okay, now that I see multiple possibilities, how do I get there? So yeah, I mentioned this research came out of my doctoral work. And just so you all know, I am a Trenton State girl at heart. I had a very hard time. They wanted me to do what's called phenomenological research, where you study a phenomenon and you build your own theory. And I failed my dissertation orals 3 times because I had no idea what they were talking about. And finally, when I did get it, it became my life's work. Who would have known? So I'm going to talk to you about each of those P's, starting with person. And person, next slide. Next slide. It's about self-awareness. And I'll tell you, anyone out there who's a leader or a manager, the latest research says self-awareness is the #1 skill you need as a leader. And I know an awful lot of non-self-aware leaders because people hold back on feedback, I think. So self-awareness is all about, next part, your skills, interests, and abilities. It's about job fit. And job fit, do another click. Job fit means that I'm using the skills I really want to be using. I'm interested in using these skills. And you know something? I value what I'm doing. So in the career work I do, we do a lot of work around skills, interests, values. Here are the key questions that you all can take home and think about. The great question for skills is, what have I been naturally good at? Like, what's in my DNA? I almost can't not do it. And nowadays, for all of you, the research is saying it is not just about your technical skills. It is about your soft skills, not the hard skills. It's about your human skills. It's about your power skills. We're coming up with all different names to say it's not just the technical piece. It's all of that surround sound too. On interest, very important to think, what do I love doing and what do I loathe doing? And I love asking people their loves and their loathes. And sometimes I see a lot on the current job of what they don't like doing. So it's a matter of talking with your leaders, talking with your managers, talking with yourself around what you don't like doing. Not that you can get out of all of it, but I'll bet there's some way to massage some of it. And values, the question is, and I love this question, is if you really ask yourself, when I go home from work, I know now you're home, you're not coming home from work, you're with your work, most of you. What part of my day do I love most? When I say I've had a great day, am I working with colleagues? Am I working alone? You know, am I doing something that I really value doing? So those 3, and had I not lost all that time in the beginning, I would have asked you to put some things up on the chat room. Let me just do it on one of them. When you procrastinate about doing something that your work wants you to do, what is it? It's the interest question. you procrastinate about. And just to get you involved, put some things up on the chat list. Or jot some things down, because these are things that you should be talking about. Those of you in organizations with your leaders, talking about with a support group. Why is it that I'm always, doing things that I don't like to do, and how do I change that? So person is always, when we present this in organizations and we present it globally, people love. When it moves on to perspective, move on to the next slide. When it moves on to perspective, it's a little scarier, because it's about getting the views of others. It's about saying, how do others see me? How am I seen by my peers? How am I seen by people above me? How am I seen by my audience, those of you who are teaching? How do your kids see you? How do their parents see you? How does the administration see you? And it's how do they see you in terms of your abilities, your blind spots, and the conditions under which you do your best work. So maybe for all of you out there, it's about asking people in your, I call it career audience, your career audience, what can you count on me for? And had we had time, I would have had you answer that on the chat board, but I'm going to skip the chat room because I think I can tell by your faces that you're going to do this for homework. Good. What can you count on me for? Blind spots. Now, this is really important. How do your blind spots, how do your strengths work against you? I'll give you a personal example. Like one of my strengths from the Trenton State days is creativity. I love reinventing new things. I love making up new words. I love all of that. I'm always thinking of new ideas. As a CEO of my company, that got in my way always, because I was always saying, what about this? What about that? And I had a strategic plan. And my people who reported to me, my leadership team would say, Beverly, you're not following your own strategic plan, because I couldn't let go of new ideas. So I had to watch myself. And now that I'm not running a company, I can be as creative as I want. So conditions, under what conditions do I make my best contribution? So all of you need to think, are you a great alone worker? Are you best with a team? Are you best when you're in a team of people much smarter than you? Are you best with a team where you can really be the smartest person, in the room? So it's really important. And now that many of you are home because of COVID, what about being home has helped you be better, smarter, more able? And what about being home has made you not the best contributor? And, with one organization I'm working with now, I am asking people to talk to at least 6 or 7 people and ask the question, when have you seen me at my best? Making it positive, because I want to fuel them also. I mean, the group I'm working with are MBAs from the top schools in the country, and they know their technical work backwards and forwards. They don't have as much self-awareness as they should have. So these questions, when asked of your career audience, will fuel them with a lot more information. So the third P is place. And place is all about what's shifting, what's changing, and how is it shifting and changing. And when I work with organizations, I ask them questions like these. so you can put all of those up. And we push them. I'm saying I, but now it's a big we because other people are delivering this. How do you think your current work will change? And all of you should be thinking, while you're on this coronavirus remote, how is work going to change when you go back? I'm working on an article now with two friends called, for organizations called, What's Your Return Policy? How are you going to reboard the people you've already onboarded? So all of you should be thinking, when I go back to wherever it is, how will work change? You need to also think, how will my own organization change? If it's a school, oh my gosh, are schools ever changing? If it's a company, etc. And meaning, how do I have to change with it? What do you think the next big thing will be? And what could turn your business upside down? You know, many years ago, I was working with, it was very exciting, the Imagineers at Disney, the people who imagine the next ride. And their senior leader wanted to scare them that Disney would not always have that #1 spot. And she showed them a video of all their competitors and what they might be doing in the future. And she scared the Imagineers by thinking, it's not always going to be you. It's not always going to be Disney. We're going to get great competition. And so let's think about how we stay out there. So place is all about those shifting realities. And the most important question, once you name the shifting realities, is, so what does that mean to you? What does it mean to your job, to your skill set, to your abilities that you better start learning now? So place is all about that. It's the third important P. The fourth P is finally possibilities. And you know, what's interesting about possibilities is that it's the first place everyone wants to go in a career conversation. They go not to the first P, second P, third P. They say, so what can I do next? So what are my possibilities here? So what other jobs are there? You cannot go there unless you cycle through person, perspective, and place. It's like me saying to all of you, can you name me a best restaurant in your city? You would say, well, they're all closed now, Bev, sorry. But there are a million, what kind of food do you like? Do you see what I mean? It's that kind of questioning. And here are the 6 options. Here's what Up Is Not the Only Way is all about. Lateral, let me put them all up. So the original book that I wrote for HR people was titled Up Is Not the Only Way. It was a more academic book. The latest Up Is Not the Only Way came out maybe 2 years ago. If you're interested, that's the name of the book. Check it out. And it says you can move laterally. And again, I work in organizations, so that's where this comes from. You can grow where you are. You can, of course, go vertically, but vertical moves, the ladder has to go. I talk about a career climbing wall now. Exploratory, what could I try out? Realignment, what could I move down to? Because I loved it more. My husband's a rocket scientist. He loves his technical work. When he tried moving into management, he was not good at it, despite the fact that he was married to me and I could help him. And he had to go back to his boss and say, management's not for me. I want to go back to what I was doing. I loved my technical work. And then relocation is saying, where I am now isn't working. The school I'm working in doesn't have the right culture. The business I'm in doesn't, I want to look elsewhere. So of all of those, the most important is enrichment. And if you click, it'll get a little star around it. And enrichment means, how do I grow right where I am? And that's the challenge that we put out to every audience. How do you grow? How do you add more to what you're doing so that you yourself get more passion? And when I look out at an audience, like those of you I see blank faces. And when I see blank faces, I give them a hint. And here's how to think about enriching your job. So go to the next slide. It's about growing in place. So here is we call it a word cloud or a wordle. These are verbs. So I want you all to look at the screen and think about your own current job and think of a verb that gives you an idea of what you could add to your current job that would, number one, strengthen what you're doing now and prep you for the future. So I'll tell you one example. Right now, I'm researching the link between career happiness and health. And there's a lot out there, because I think if you're not happy with what you go to work to do every day, it is gonna affect you. And I'd like to write something about the health effects on being in the wrong career, in the wrong place. But all of you, think about what you could strengthen and be specific, not just, well, I'm gonna strengthen everything. What could you broaden? What could you experiment with? What could you expand on? And the first thoughts are important. And that's what you might want to think about. Either how can you do that, or how can you talk to your boss, if you have one, about doing more of that in your current work. So I push people to write as many of the possibilities down as they can. Not just vertical, but enrichment, and add lateral, add exploratory. I love exploratory because it means inside of an organization, I don't leave my current job, but I follow someone else, or I try something else for just a couple of days, etc., to see whether or not I like it. So after possibilities comes plan. And plan is the 5th P, and you can change the slide. And plan is about taking action. And action means more learning, usually, because you have a goal now in possibilities. So the action step is, what's an experience that I could force myself to do that would grow me? Who can I expose myself to that I could learn from? And what education can I take online, wherever, that will grow me? So the 3 E's: experience, exposure, education. The research says we learn the most from an experience. And I think we learn from all of those. And in a very sophisticated word, I say they're all schmergles. They're all combined. And so we should push ourselves to some new experiences, like this right now. I better get better at it. Is an experience that now I know I have to get better at working on Zoom. What's the key challenge, and who would have taken a different approach? Around exposure, it is, I'm going to watch someone do it who does it really well and smoothly. And I'm going to say to myself, that was the way she caught their attention. That was how she presented that I liked. What could I emulate? What would I do differently? Like, I would never get on a show like this, Beverly Kaye, without really knowing how to work that Zoom thing without having your assistant near you, which I don't. She's remote, so that's why I was so stuck. And then education. If you take any course at all, like, why are you taking it? Or you go to any webinar, or you go any learning online, what's your objective? How will you apply it to your work? And how does it really build your skills? And I'll add one, and who can I tell about it? Like, if you learn something new and you're in an organization, does anyone know that you have this new thing to offer? So all of these are important, and they, in a way, form your game plan. So if I was working with any of you, I'd say, okay, you've got these possibilities. What experience are you going to go up after? Who you're going to need to be exposed to? And what education do you still need? So I want all of you to think about that. So, so here's the other part of the equation. Earlier in what I talked about, I said it's the employee, it's the manager, and it's the organization. So we do a lot of training of managers. And those of you out there who are managers, here's what managers need to do. And go to the next slide. And it's about support. And if not from managers, from your peers. And the way I had the 5 L's, I'll remind you of them by clicking on that slide. I said the 5 P's, this is the 5 L's. For managers, anyone managing anyone else, or any peer wanting to help another peer. So maybe after this is over, you turn to a peer and you ask them to help, to listen to you answer the questions that I just laid out. So an easy way to show you that is, here is the 5 P's again. And if you put up that slide, all the 5 P's should come up, right? Here's what manager, and it could be manager or pal or best friend or support group, does. So number 1, you have to listen really hard to that person and ask some great questions to get them to talk further. Number 2, you have to level, tell the truth. Here's what I see you doing, and here's what I don't see you doing. And here's who else you should talk to get a picture of yourself. Around place, it is look ahead. Talk about the future. Talk about what's happening. Even if it means that person's job is going to go away. Prep them for that future and let them prep themselves. Around possibilities, it is leverage. So here's the secret. If you're a manager and you're sitting down with your employee and you want them to think of possibilities, think of the word leverage and think of the word lever in that word. It stands for lateral, enrichment, vertical, exploratory, and the R is realignment or relocation. So write lever down, L-E-V-E-R-R, and you've got your 6 options to talk about. Plan. Around plan, it's link. And what I say to managers and to all of you doing this as peers, your job is not to fix it. Your job is not to put a Band-Aid on it. Your job is to say, here's who I know who can help you. Here's the course I took that might help you. Here's a book I read that might help you. And that would help you support your employee, support your pal. If I was redoing this slide. I would change it from talent. I would change it from manager to support team. And those of you who don't have those teams, I would never be where I am without a support team of business owners who've owned the kind of business I did own. I've been in a women's group for 40 years and we still meet without them. And I have a mommy group. I've just got to turn off my, I have a mommy group because I didn't become a mom till I was 45. And so I have a mommy group of elder moms who help me in that range. So getting a support group, really, really, really important. So leaving that slide up, or no, let me close by saying the next slide. Next slide. By saying TCNJ gave you a great start. I never used my elementary education degree, but when I work inside of companies, to tell you the truth, I feel like it's elementary education. And I wish you the best of luck on your career journey. And I turn it over to you, Pam, to gather your questions. And
that was great, thank you. I think everyone can leave this with a whole lot of homework, as you call it, and some really good insights to reflect on. And we are already getting questions. We always start with this question: is there a recording of this webinar? Yes, there will be on our website, alumni.tcnj.edu. We are archiving all of the past webinars. And I will jump into our first question here. How does Bev recommend reaching out to follow someone in order to explore a new experience, especially if not in my own department?
Sorry, I'm in the office by myself and the phone keeps ringing. And would you ask me that question again?
Of course. How would you recommend reaching out to follow someone in order to explore a new experience, especially if they are not in my own department?
I would ask, one of the books I wrote is called Love 'Em or Lose 'Em, Getting Good People to Stay. And it's written according to the alphabet, and the A is for ask. And I think it's true whether you're a leader or anyone, to say, I'd love to learn about what you do. Could I just trail you for a day or half a day? Or could I come to that one meeting that I know you're running and just sit there to watch the way you run the meeting? I'm telling you, that would be giving a gift to the person you're asking to follow. Because they would think, who, me? She wants to follow me? And I think they'd love it. Everybody wants to mentor and help, I believe, everybody else. But ask is the first letter in that alphabet. It's in Love 'Em or Lose 'Em, and it's in Love It, Don't Leave It. So ask, it's that simple. Next question.
That's great, thank you. Okay, let's see. Any advice for the discomfort of feeling incompetent when trying a new role?
Everybody feels incompetent trying a new role. And the thing is, if you really want to try it, push through. And have a little support group near you. And tell them, can I call you after the first day, and rant and rave to you. You could also ask whoever your manager is in the new role, what is most important that I show you that I do during this first week? What are you watching for? What should I be watching for, etc. Again, I guess it's ask. Next question.
All right, if you know a colleague Is floundering, oh, just moved. If you know a colleague is floundering in their position, but they don't see it, how do you recommend approaching them?
That's big. That's being blinded to your own unhappiness. I think it's in my field now, the word conversation is hot. Everybody is writing books with the word conversation in the title. And I think the internet has led us away from conversation that's face-to-face, at least. So I would say, I think it's really important to share with your colleague what you're seeing. Like if somebody said to me, gee, Bev, you walked in for the last 3 days without that happy smile on your face. What's going on? And I think most people appreciate that you ask. Well, I had a bad day. Well, I put my dog down. Well, I'm really floundering in this job. I can't do it. I don't know how to get better at it. I think we're looking for the moment, the human moment. We're looking for being more human with one another. It's harder for technical people. It's very hard when we train people and up in the Silicon Valley for managers, etc. It's hard for the individual to talk about anything that isn't an equation or numbers. And that's why the P's help people and the L's help managers. And I think it's not that, I think we have the will, but not always the skill. So you can see I like rhyming things. What else?
All right. How would you recommend going about starting a business after working for several years?
Depending on what kind of business. If anyone out there wants to start a business in my field, I have some friends who are helping people start businesses in the HR range, and send me an email, bev@bevkay.com. Not everybody send me an email, just that person. And I'll connect you with them. But ask the question again.
How would you recommend going about starting a business after working for several years?
I'd say start small. Maybe start while you're still in the other business. What do they call it now? It's a certain kind of dance where you're doing something, but on the side hustle. That's what it's called. A lot of people are doing side hustles. And then when the side hustle grows, they know to move over. So I'd say, think about your side hustle. And what else?
All right, let's see. Which of the P's do most people find the most difficult?
When the times I teach this, perspective is hard. The question I sometimes ask to get people to think about how others see them is I say, and I'll say it to all of you, imagine you're in a room with your colleagues. You called a meeting, it's your meeting, you're running it, and in the middle of the meeting, you get a phone call that you have to step out for. And my question would be, what do your colleagues say about you when you're out of the room? And I see people turn green, and one person even said, my colleagues never talk about me behind my back. Oh, yes, they do. And so I push people to say, what do I think others think of me in a positive way and a less than positive way? And then I'd say, go check it out. the question that's good to ask is, what should I be doing more of? What should I be doing less of? And what should I continue doing to deliver better service? Those things.
Great, thank you. And it looks like we have come to an end of the questions. I will add that a lot of the other comments are thanking you for the amazing career advice and thanking you for all the insight that you shared here. So we've gotten a few of those comments as well, Bev.
Great. You know, I'll share my own recent career story with you. So I said that I ran a company for 40 years. It was called Career Systems, and it grew and grew and grew. And 2 years ago, I sold it to two of my employees who changed the name, took down the website. They're using all the material, but they wanted to brand it as theirs. And I said that I went through a really bad depression. You know what I was doing? My entity had become my identity. And when I sold the entity, Career Systems, I felt I sold myself. And I was stuck. I was really, really stuck. This is just a few years ago. And I'll tell you what got me unstuck. I had gone on a vacation, and when I came back, and I have offices in the first floor of my home. This is my office. There's 3 other offices. The morning I woke up, the ceiling in my office, a pipe broke, a sewer pipe collapsed the ceiling in my office over everything. My papers, my speeches, my books, and everything was polluted. And they had to bring in the guys in the hazmat suits and take apart everything. And I had to throw away all my notes on all the speeches I'd ever given. And my smarter friends said to me, Beverly, that's a cosmic message to let go and move on. And I, of course, no. And I got it in a week or so. I got it that the only way I would move on is I had to move out of the office. It had to all be redone. So it's that ceiling that fell. And that's when I was able to go from running a company to just being my own boss, which is how I started, and I loved it. And for all of you out there who either started at Trenton State or with the College of New Jersey, you never know what the next step is. You know, you just don't. And I believe you should be open to opportunities. In one of the books, I talk about being opportunity-minded or opportunity-blinded. And often when I am in organizations, I see people walking around with blinders, real blinders on them, where hints of what's going to happen are in front of them, but the blinders keep them from seeing what's next. So I'd say to all of you, how can you be more opportunity-minded and keep yourself from being opportunity-blinded, as one piece of advice. And I'm real opportunity-minded, and I'm getting a kick out of this COVID stay at home because I'm doing more Zoom calls and I'm learning from all of them. And I'm switching up my own thing that I do. So.
That is
Chuck?
I know how you love to end on questions. If you don't mind, I did overlook one last question that someone had for you, and it's a good one. So if you don't mind, I'd like to address that. How would you identify whether a workplace is the right place for you during the interview process?
You know what I would do? I would make a list of what you really value, what you really care about. You know, what means a lot to you in your workplace. I would make a list of what you didn't like in that last job and what you loved in that last job or last three. And I'd have that list ready when you go in for the interview. Because it's not just about them interviewing you, it's you interviewing them for a sense of, will this be a culture fit? Not just a skill fit, but a culture fit for you as an individual. And I would say do that.
That's excellent. Thank you. I'm glad I snuck that one in there for you.
So
very much. Thank you for taking the time. I'm getting comments continuing to come in that are thanking you and telling us you're an inspiration and that there was a lot of valuable insights that people are going to take back to their own organizations and to their next meeting. So looks like you've definitely made an impact. So we thank you very much.
well, Diane and Stan, sending you a kiss, and who would have thunk? Here
Can
we
chat
are.
a little bit when you're finished with the presentation?
Okay, yeah, give me I'm Bev at bevk.com.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out when to talk.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. All right.